So good morning, because it's morning still. Thank you all for joining us for our February meeting of the MNRCC. And we can't ask for a approval of minutes yet, so when we get one other person, I think we have no problem doing it. I could give my chair's report, though. Is that correct?
I'm sorry.
Just Roz. Roz
Yeah,
is
we're
in.
just trying to let Roz in a second. Sorry.
Awesome.
That gives us 5. That counts.
So yeah, here she is.
Okay, perfect. Okay. We now have a quorum.
Who is this William
Roz.
Stanford Jr. with a whole bunch of other?
Mr. X.
Do we know who it is?
That's
Yes,
Mr. X.
Mr. X.
Oh, okay. All right, so we have a quorum, so I can let me go to the other page that I'm going to look at. Okay. So
Way too long.
Okay.
To that
So,
seat.
so again, welcome to everybody for joining us. Hi, Roz. This is the February meeting. So the minutes were prepared. I'll make a motion to approve the agenda. Get a second.
Aye.
Okay, all in favor? All right, thank you.
Aye.
Okay, we got that done. And the minutes were nicely prepared by the staff. Are there any questions about it? If not, I'll make a motion to accept them.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that was easy. That was done. Okay, all right. So chairs reports, lots of stuff going on. Basically, what was this? Alrighty. So, okay. So anyway, the last mention of the joint committee meeting, there were a lot of very nice, more positive things that were mentioned by President Vonachek, and like it's all positive. All good things. Ridership is up, and they've installed last year 12 miles of new rails, 34,000 ties. And if they're mentioning it, it must be a significant amount. And they did the Super Express trains from Poughkeepsie and New Haven with running times of 90 minutes or less. Ridership is up 6%. Christmas ridership was up. Fall foliage trains ridership was 109%. Of regular weekend ridership. Fall passenger count survey we showed it was 87%, up 2%. So people are generally happy with the service, and who wouldn't be? Okay, so that pretty much takes care of that. Do we want to? I guess we could do the North Portal thing later.
No, go ahead.
Oh, okay. So I prepared a sheet that I copied from a press release, actually a newspaper article about the Portal North Bridge. So for those who don't know, the North Portal, the Portal Bridge, the existing bridge, it's like 116 years old. Very frequently, well, they made some deals with the feds that it will only open up in the off-peak hours, and so they generally adhere to that because the marine traffic has a priority there. Walter can fill in if anybody wants some more details about it. I'm pretty sure. I don't put you on the spot, but I'm pretty sure you could fill us in on any details. Walter, is that correct? About the priority for marine traffic? Walter, you hear me?
Say that again.
I said, Walter, if there's any questions about the priority of marine traffic or that requires the bridge to open whenever there are boats there, Walter is the expert there. So anyway, this bridge is the new one has been built, and they were doing some testing on it, and they decided that they needed a month, February 15th to March 15th, to get this bridge in service. I think they're routing the traffic over one of the tracks. My expert rail fan friends think it should have been done a different way and in a much shorter time, but we're not the ones doing the work. So anyway, this bridge, the new one is higher, so there'll be no conflict with marine traffic, which is the big deal. But all the emails I got, probably 70 of them that came on Sunday alone, were blaming crews, not having the normally scheduled engineer. The fact is that they cut so much service. I don't know why this was a problem, but I did speak to someone at New Jersey Transit yesterday, and I gave my contact at the Transit Authority to let them work out how we pick jobs when I worked there as a conductor and a motorman, and maybe they can work with the unions and get this thing straightened out so that customers are not impacted so much. The service has improved over the past couple of days.
Yeah, there was a statement from New Jersey Transit Online saying that they only receive notice of the call outs 48 hours in advance under their contract and things like that. Yeah.
Didn't we just get a contract?
You can ask me for logic in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Well, I just know when I worked at the Transit Authority 50 years ago, the pick was concluded well in advance of the time that the schedule was changed, and it was always seamless when it went into effect. So hopefully, they'll speak with our colleagues at the Transit Authority and get it straightened out. But generally, the service on the
Eddie, I have a question.
Yeah.
Are railroad rules different than transit rules?
it might be, but I don't know. Walter, what do you know about this?
I don't know much about it other than I read a lot of things about it. And people I know who ride NJ Transit, some of them are very unhappy about it. There was a whole list of trains that were canceled due to unavailability or availability, or whatever term they use, of equipment or crews or some such thing. And they had a whole list of those one day. A bunch of trains canceled and use another train, which in many cases was an hour later. And it was rather short notice of the people, and I think that should be considered unacceptable by the traveling public.
Walter, do you know if the timing of picks for
Job selection.
job selection is different on Metro North than it is on New Jersey Transit? And or if it's different on Metro North than it is on New York City Transit?
Walter?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm having a little trouble. The door to the deck is open, and I'm hearing traffic. Can you repeat that, Lisa?
Do you know how job picks, job selection differ between Metro North and New Jersey Transit and or Metro North and New York City Transit?
No, that I don't know. But I know Metro North does a good job with this sort of thing, almost always, and NJT doesn't always. I mean, it doesn't always get it right. But I don't know what the official standards are. I think
3 times a year.
Are we going to have Andy on the phone, on the call?
He was
Yeah.
supposed to join at 12. He's on another call at the moment.
Okay, well, we can certainly ask him that when we get closer to that time. Anyways, for the riders on the Pascagoula line and the the Port Jervis line, their trains weren't affected that much. But it was the connecting trains where there were some changes. But they seem to have gotten their act together yesterday, so hopefully they'll have it straight going forward for the next couple of weeks. All right, is there any questions on that?
Yeah, the only comment I have is when they know something is going to happen, they obviously plan for it, hopefully somewhat in advance, and they would know. I don't understand, why suddenly they don't have equipment or they don't have an engineer or whatever it is. If they planned all this, scheduled it properly with the crews and the equipment, this should not happen.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Okay. So then I will yield my time to Executive Director for her reports.
Thank you. Thanks. So you see that today we're joined by myself, Jess, Kara, and Henry. Jack has disappeared, so he doesn't count anymore. And Brian's on a very well-deserved vacation, so that we're all jealous of.
Yes.
Yes, so we're trying not to bother him. This past weekend was caucus weekend in Albany, which is a very busy opportunity to meet with elected officials and really talk about all things transit. I wish I had brought our postcard with us. Henry designed a really terrific pocket-sized postcard with our priorities on it. That was a big hit. I put little hearts on it and gave it out as love letter for transit riders. That was really super well received because it was pocket size and it had a QR code and it goes right to the real top priorities. And had a lot of conversations about affordability, about more equitable access to transit, and really about moving forward things that we talk about on a regular basis. It was very interesting to hear the sort of a larger breadth of groups, people who share the concerns that we have, particularly around affordability and access, including people who are losing their food benefits and their health benefits, and how, so it's so tragic. Transportation is not the number one priority anymore. It's how can people eat and how can people, get the health care that they need, since state really has taken such an interest in funding the MTA and ensuring access to transit. We're committed to ensuring that transportation and transit riders stay top of mind to our electeds, and are moving forward with the legislative priorities that you are all familiar with and are all have all spoken about. One of the people I spoke with, I'm trying to encourage her strongly to be interested in the Westchester vacancy that we have, as we continue also to follow up on the other vacancies that the Bronx Borough President has moved forward, since we no longer have an at-large vacancy, which is wonderful. We are continuing to work with the current mayoral administration on the executive budget that was just released, again, on the priorities that affect the issues that we talk about. His biggest concern right now is filling a giant budget gap. Our biggest concern is don't forget about riders as you do that. So stay tuned there. In Randy's report, and thanks to Mike, the whole topic of universal train spotting came up, and it was fascinating. One of the conversations I had was with a senior advisor to Council Speaker Julie Menon, and she said, "What is up with Metro North trains? They just go to the front of the platform, and you have to run for them." And I said, "Oh, it's called universal train spotting," and that. Thank you for letting us know about that. But it's clearly an issue that is widely noticed and not well explained. And I think that there have been changes, and we'll hear more from Andy about that, which is good. I think we can always appreciate when anybody makes a mistake, they acknowledge it and adapt, particularly to the concerns that have been raised. And we have some additional projects that are being worked on that Kara and Henry can talk about. But I am going to, did I miss anything?
The breakfast in Albany.
Oh, the breakfast in Albany. We had a wonderful breakfast in Albany, celebrating our transit champions. Yeah. Yeah, granola.
Great pastries and health food up in Albany.
There's no health. The only thing green is the green bagels on St. Patrick's Day.
Trees are barely green.
Yes. But Kara, why don't you talk about that?
Sure, yeah, I can jump in on that. So hello, everyone. The breakfast in Albany was held, it was Transit Equity Week. It was not on the actual Transit Equity Day, but it went really well. It was co-hosted by Senator Comrie and Assemblyman Hevesy, both from Queens. But the focus of the breakfast was our One City, One Fare Act, which is a bill that would unify the fare zones in New York City between Metro North and the Long Island Railroad, and essentially require the MTA to study also giving transfers between the railroads and New York City Transit. So this is sort of the outcome of some big wins in the last fare change process, where the city ticket is now permanent, baked into the fare structure within the 5 boroughs. And we've been doing a lot of research over the years on what unifying the fare zones could do specifically within the 5 boroughs. And it was really well received by many legislators and their staffers as well. So we think that went very well. We got a lot of progress and other people who were just interested in focusing on transit equity in general.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. We had good conversations with Assemblymember Dinowitz. It's okay. With Assemblymember Dinowitz, who carries our Rider Representation Act, to also talk about. He was particularly interested in this because people who ride Metro North in on the far west side of the Bronx, traveling in to I said, well, how are you going to get from Yankee Stadium to Citi Field? You're like, I don't know, drive. Like, no, that's not the answer for people who work in both places. Why should they have to pay? You know, if they have a monthly pass or if they have a weekly, the zones are so disparate that you just can't figure it out. There should be one zone that should make sense. So we're trying to do that, and I think even though I hope
Subway, right?
no, not necessarily. If you
Schedules
go
line
from
up.
Metro North to Grand Central on from Yankee Stadium, it's like 20 minutes
Yeah.
and then another 20 minutes.
Plus 10 to walk through that maze, but
Well,
yes.
yeah,
And then we're gonna have to go
Well,
try it out.
Did I? I'll take the
That's actually not a bad idea.
yeah.
Well, we had found, and Henry also made a really great graphic for this as well, that there are, I believe, 6 fare zones. And here's my joint. 6 different fare zones in the city, and the pricing is almost arbitrary, where it's cheaper to go from, I believe it was, say, Flushing in Queens into Nassau County on a weekly ticket than it is from Flushing to Metz Willets Point on a weekly ticket.
There are also some
Because of the
cases where traveling between zones costs the same for a weekly ticket, but then for whatever arbitrary reason, it's different for a monthly ticket. Through the same zones.
yes,
But just rationalizing
yes,
the fares, and it was very well received along
yes,
with
absolutely.
other conversations. I think it's something that people are very interested in. And the people's budget, which is going back to caucus weekend, something that is released by the Black Puerto Rican, but Hispanic and Asian legislators caucus, included several of our asks, in addition to a number of different transit and transportation goals or budget proposals. And there is a concept for an entirely separate transit equity budget that they're putting together that we're very hopeful for.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Yes.
So again, these are the electeds that negotiate with the governor. So let's see.
Yeah.
Are these ridership and I want to say fare numbers, like who's buying what kind of ticket from where to where? Publicly available or
Great
in some
question.
report somewhere? Or-
Data is,
So so essentially the ticketing data on the railroads is publicly available up to a certain point where it's sort of aggregated into commutation and non-commutation tickets, not as much in terms of station to station, but there's some data is released every month by the MTA at the board level. The Open Data Act that required the MTA to publish a lot more data in depth has led to a lot more transparency with their data, and we are hopeful and have learned that in the near future, they do plan to, fingers crossed, release more in-depth ticketing data. That has been one of our biggest asks over the years is it would be great to see how many city tickets are sold from point A to point B, or just what that kind of more granular breakdown looks like. They do release a lot of that at the board level, but sort of when the presentation that they're giving calls for it, it's not as constant. But that is something that we monitor very closely.
And there are some reporters and some organizations that foil that we gracefully and gratefully request from them. So that, sometimes you have to just know who to ask instead of, able to go to the source. So we're looking forward to being able to go right to the source.
And then just to jump quickly to research projects that we're working on. We mentioned this last month, but Henry is working on a very exciting wayfinding and signage report. Just want to reiterate the ask to all members and members of the public that if you have any examples of signage that you've seen in other places, or issues with signage, or confusing intersections in the transit system that you think could be improved, we are looking at mocking up some ways to help improve that and just make sure that riders can find where they're going within stations. Well, Henry's done some really great graphics, and we're excited to move forward with that over the next couple of months. I could do social media quickly, or we could do.
Should we do quick social media?
Yeah, just let us know.
Yeah.
since we're at
Or May, do you know if Andy's joining us in person, or are you being Andy?
I think she may be here.
I believe he's gonna join in a minute. Let me just check. I think he's gonna join via Zoom.
Okay.
Okay. So, Mr. X has his hand up.
All right,
Do you wanna let-
Mr. X, why don't we go to you and we'll come back to the social media after. But we just give them 2 minutes, because then we need to go to the Metro North report. All right, Mr. X, you're on.
Maybe.
Or not.
Oh, there he goes.
Yes. So you are unmuted, but we cannot hear you if you're trying to speak. Maybe if you don't mind putting something in the chat.
Well, he's definitely unmuted. We're just not able to hear you.
Yes. Or maybe if you try rejoining the meeting, you might have to reset your audio. That sometimes is an issue. Okay, May says Andy's on his way to join in person.
We thought it would just jump in there
Okay.
somewhere.
So while we wait for Andy and Mr. X, if you are able to sort out your audio, should I do social media quickly?
Sure.
Time? Okay.
Sure.
So a lot of the same issues have come up as last month. By far, the biggest topic online is the fare policy changes. Less so even the price of the fare increase. It's really more about the policies. And we did indeed, we forgot to mention this, but we sent the letter to Metro North leadership, as well as Long Island Railroad and MTA leadership last month. Overall, the biggest issues are people upset that they have to buy a separate ticket every time. Hi, Andy. The auto activation, or not auto activation, but the shorter activation and validity window, and the loss of the 10 trip. And also that the 10 rides get the 11th free does not always offer the same kind of cost savings as the discount on the 10 trip had done. And then another important thing to note, as I mentioned at the LARCC as well, is that typically we do often look at the Twitter responses of the railroads to see what riders are raising, because historically both railroads have responded to people on Twitter or X, whatever you'd like to call it. So they do respond to, here's Jesse Figueroa. Both railroads have stopped responding to comments on Twitter. Metro North has continued to trickle off and occasionally will do so. The Long Island Railroad has almost entirely stopped doing that in the new year. It does appear to be an agency-wide policy, but because New York City Transit also has stopped posting real-time service updates on that platform. And it just appears to be one fewer way that riders can get in touch with railroad representatives. Of course, there are other platforms like the MTA app and Train Time, but just wanted to note that this makes it a little bit more difficult to track. And now we are looking at other platforms as well, including Reddit, where people, as I mentioned before, have been chattering a bit about MNRCC in particular. But those are the biggest issues this month. And thank you, Andy.
Andy. Hi. You're looking well rested and
Yeah.
Thank you very much for joining us.
My pleasure.
We asked, well, in particular, we asked you to join us because of the issue that Mike had that we then learned was universal train spotting. Sounds like a movie from the 80s, but which is apparently much more of a complex railroading term.
A movie in the 80s.
Right, yeah, it took me a minute.
Yeah.
Good efforts.
Yes, I'm old. Yeah. Older. So if we welcome you, if you wouldn't mind giving us an update on what it is, what the story is, what's going on with it. Anything else you'd like to share?
Sure.
We ask questions.
Always happy to answer questions. Universal train spotting is a practice in which trains are required to stop at the same spot for all trips. Simply, it's exactly what it sounds like. You universally spot the trains in the same spot. In practice, it's requiring all trains to stop with the front car at the front end of a platform. It's a practice that is adopted, has been in place for both Long Island Railroad and New York City subways for a long period of time. So it's not a new concept within this larger MTA service territory.
So I'm trying to think, is that true on the subways?
It is.
Yes.
Sometimes a 10-car is a 10-car markup, but if it's an 8 train,
Yeah. They will pull the front of the
they
thing.
can, sometimes it's supposed to pull up the 8 if you do, sometimes they pull up on the 10, but
But that's my point. It's not universal.
jurisdiction
I would think
depends
that-
on the equipment that you're on.
I would think that on a shorter subway, you're missing a car in the front, a car in the back. Don't need to pull up the.
No, they
board.
spot.
No.
It depends on, so for subways, it's station dependent.
Right. which
It's
is
not
what
always,
the
it's
other-
not always the front. It's the universal, it's where they have a universal spot where they stop every time. It's regardless.
But for the railroad,
All subway trains are the same size running on that line, so there's never an issue about it.
That's not true,
That's
right?
not on the sub,
On the, sure. Where is there a difference on the subway, on each line?
some of them are 8 train cars, some of them are 10.
the
Yeah,
length of the
but
consist,
875 is still 6, it's still
Yeah.
6.
the length of the consist, Randy.
If there's like some stations with the F and the M is shorter, and so from a rider perspective, there's a difference, even if it's technically the same kind of.
Like the G train.
Well, that's an exception there, but all the Gs are the same size on the line. There's the area no one else is running.
It's a different
who's gonna-
size. It's a different, I think we're having different conversation about what size of the train
The
means.
trains.
We're talking about, this is about the length of the consist.
Right, that's correct.
That's that size.
But to the point, the subways center the train at the middle of the platform, regardless of the length of the consist, which is what Metro North has done for decades.
No,
It is though.
it's not.
And so
It's all been discretion of the conductor. It's not been.
There are signs on the platform that indicate.
It was not how our practice, it was not our standard. Just because we have something indicating where the center of the platform is, that's not actually where they were spotting the trains. So to say that that's what our practice was when it actually wasn't is incorrect.
Okay, so let's go forward. Obviously there was a major rider reaction to this change. It was reverted, which we appreciated quickly. What's the plan going forward?
So can you tell us why that happened first and then what their plan is?
So the initiative was a broader part to enhance safety, make sure that we're dealing with consistency amongst our conductors. We're easier to monitor how conductors are performing when we have the same when we have the same mileposts to mark them against at all times. It's also something to ensure that all doors that are supposed to be on a platform are on a platform, and that all doors are opening at every station. It's something to ensure that predictability for the riders, improves safety, reduces risks of doors not being on the platform, and improves clarity for passengers. And helps eliminate last-minute crowding and confusion on platforms, as people will know where they have to board at all times, both board and on board at all times, allowing availability of all doors at all times.
They shortened the train then? Is that what they did? Or they didn't? It's still full?
Our trains run at different consist lengths at different times of day and different.
Gotcha.
How is that issue resolved at White Plains, where the people have to walk further to get from the Hudson Link bus?
So the one change that we have made is we have put in an exemption for universal train spotting when there are 12, when it is a train that's operating on a 12-car platform. We are actually also discounting the first 80 feet of that platform, telling consists is shorter than not to actually stop within the first 80 feet, but actually to stop further back, and also allowing discretion as there are a number of shorter trains. We run a lot of 6 and 8-car consists on 12-car platforms. The 12-car platforms being White Plains, Fleetwood, Bronxville, Tuckahoe, Crestwood, Scarsdale, Hartsdale, and Mount Vernon West. We also
I can't write that.
Is
it online?
I can.
I'll take a picture or something.
Okay.
North White Plains, Hartsdale, Scarsdale, Crestwood, Tuckahoe, Bronxville, Fleetwood, Mount Vernon.
Hold on, I want to talk about.
I was gonna say, is that all the stations south of North White Plains? A couple like
Between Mount Vernon West and North White Plains, is where there's 12-car platforms.
Okay.
Bronxville, Tuckahoe, Fleetwood.
Mount Vernon West.
Or everything between Mount Vernon West and North White Plains.
Correct. Are the 12-car.
That's the way you write that, and then.
In addition,
Yes.
the exemptions to the universal train spotting are at Stamford, New Haven State Street, Croton, and Poughkeepsie.
And why is that?
They also are longer platforms, and it also is their terminals. So based on the fact that they're not terminals because they're not end of the line. They're it has to do with their Amtrak stations,
right,
with those being that nature of station. Sorry. Because of the layout of those stations, and because of the unique operating nature of those, they're actually we're queuing up the cars to be where the terminal operations are, more than active platform length, because they do have various length platforms, and those are also stations that are commencing service.
If with the discounting of the first 80 feet, right? Is there a mark on the platform or a sign that would indicate where the first car would stop then?
Because it's also discretion. It's not going to be universal. It's not going to have the same spot every time. It's one or the other, and unfortunately, that's where, based on the requests of you, that's not something that we've
But that's, it wasn't broken.
Right.
Except it was. And just because you have you're a rider from one of the stations where there was a longer platform, and it's something that was people were not used to. It doesn't mean that it's actually not improving the rider experience for everyone at all of the stations that were not listed, and creating more consistency and actually doing something that helps improve the service. So because it's a problem for people at a certain subset of stations, we're adjusting it for those subset of stations, but it was a fix to an actual problem. I want to make sure that that is very clear. So it's not saying that there wasn't a problem.
And the problem was, to be clear, the problem was that we were routinely opening the doors and for cars that were not platforming. Is that the problem?
That's a safety concern, and that is a problem.
Was that what was happening though? Was
that
the problem?
One of the problems that was solved.
I mean,
I
that seems very
half a
serious.
dozen problems that were listed that were solved. But yes, that is one of the largest problems and largest concerns that were solved. Now, it's also not sure, when you have a shorter platform, when you have, a 4-car platform, and people don't know which car they have to be in for that, that's a problem.
So
for
that,
those riders.
That's
a problem that has been solved. So there's a lot of problems that have been solved by creating something that is a universal system for our riders.
That was the next question. For the short platforms, for Croton Falls, for Village of Brewster, it's now the first 4 cars exclusively. There's no variation.
Then I would say, why isn't the Long Island Railroad doing that for us? But I guess because then it's first to last, then everybody can't just fit in those costs. I have a couple of questions about communication.
Sure.
About how was it rolled out, and how were the changes communicated, particularly because of the timing, and then how were the evolution of changes also communicated?
So we don't roll out and announce internal policies. We issue a number of different things about operating rules and operating procedures on a regular basis, but that's not something that gets published and about largely and distributed. The communications about how universal train spotting is universal train spotting has actually been being piloted since 2024. It started with a pilot at a dual island platform station, and it's been expanded from there. After the first one, we actually saw a significantly reduced number of doors opening off platforms. Building on that, the second pilot was performed the impact on shorter platforms. We actually saw service patterns, dwell times, passenger flow, and crowding at different locations reduced with the second pilot. After the 2 pilot programs, it was determined that we were going to do a full rollout across the entire service territory. That rollout began at the end of 2025. I believe we rolled out New Haven line first, followed by Hudson, followed by Harlem, with everything being rolled out by the end of January, beginning of February of 26.
Just say that it's not only an internal policy.
We actually
affects externalities.
We are actually preparing a video with information on universal train spotting and how trains are going to be spotted. That should be circulated. We're expecting it sometime this week.
I would say even just static paper signs at stations, because people are not going to always look at videos, but they're going to look at signs.
Maybe.
Well, people have more of a like, oh, does this mean my station is closed? Is my exit closed?
Mhm.
But an actual paper sign can also get taken down, yes, but it could be like, look for platforming changes. That works in the subways, it works, universally.
So I will say, just that having, as a rider, typically people do end up pushing all the way towards the front, especially when trying to board, because a lot of people want to be in the first car, so they're closer to Grand Central when they're getting off, and they end up having. So this is actually making it easier, because you'll see a lot of times, especially midday. I used to see this a time where people are walking back from the very front, because they were expecting the car to go all the way to the end of the platform, but it did not. And so it's actually probably less that we need to do to advise people that the change is coming because their habits will be reflected. The information will go out, but passenger flow is it's already matched. And actually, again, when we did nothing during a pilot and we didn't announce it and we were doing it, did nothing except improve the dwell times at each platform because it was already matching what people's expectations were. So we'll continue to do a little more, but it's one of those things where customer habit will naturally adjust to the change, and they'll notice the consistency more than they'll be surprised by the inconsistencies. Even myself, like I had all would find myself walking back because I was hoping that the train would fall all the way to an end of a platform, and it wasn't. So it's.
Is it fair to say that this is being implemented because of human error or man error? Like, have there been instances where doors have been opened and trains have not been on platforms?
That has happened, but it's also harder to manage and understand what the errors are unless there's a standard.
Oh, that's right.
So until you have something that you're saying this is where you're supposed to be, we don't know whether or not the conductors are missing their mark because they didn't have a mark.
Gotcha.
So now they'll actually have something to be measured against.
Okay. Because in some ways you have the zebra stripe that if you're not on that board, that means your train is not in the station. You do not open those doors. Have people been taken out of service? Yes. Have people opened the doors because they weren't paying attention? Also, yes.
Right.
That's why I was asking if this was human error, which happens.
Right. It is, but we don't have, again, we didn't have a measure for what the error was because we didn't actually have a standard. They could opt to not platform cars.
Right.
That is something that a conductor could have opted to do at their discretion. We're taking away that discretion. One part of the universal train spotting that is being applied to the 12-car platforms is that all cars must be platformed and open. So there are a number of rules changes that have gone into effect. We also have, if a station platform is partially out of use, Crestwood, for example, the head of where the part that is in use is defined as the head of the platform. So it's not going to be, you're not platforming a train that part that's not open.
Motorwoman is at the front, so they would have better judgment than a conductor who's opening
from the middle,
because you just don't know where you are.
And for diesel territory and other territory, if the consist is longer than the platform, the locomotives and closed cars must be pulled beyond the platform. So it's the first car counts as the first car that's open, which is more of a diesel thing than any place else.
It's the first car, not the first, not the locomotive.
Correct. The locomotive is discounted, especially for our shorter platforms on the Hudson line.
Thank you. I would say the timing was terrible. I think everybody would agree to that.
Everyone would agree to that.
And I would say, again, that is, just that rider.
Yeah, I have a couple of comments.
Okay, 1 second. That rider adaptation.
Yeah.
Follow. I think that rider communication with rider shouldn't follow. It should be in tandem, so that it's not a flow up on Reddit or stuff Reddit on its own, or that it's not a surprise, particularly at a time when there's a weather event, but when it's cold.
Oh, okay.
It sounds like this should be happening, but people are smart, and if you explain to them why it's happening.
You and I have very different views, very different interactions with people then.
Yeah.
So people are not that smart. With Andy, people are not that smart.
The purpose of this council is to be partners.
You can let us know so we can let the riders know.
Can I ask a question about, I'm sorry, Walter, you had a question.
Walter, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. I know of two stations near where I live on the Hudson line that are problems. And first of all, I guess we have Scarborough. The 10-car platform northbound is way over water, and it gets pretty cold and windy in the winter on some days. And now anybody who's in the front of the train or the front area of the train getting off has to walk the whole length of that thing because the exit from the station is at the end of the platform, at the south end of the platform. In the morning, that would not be a problem because the front of the train would stop about where the entrance to the station is. But also at Ossining, there again are 10 platforms, and southbound trains, if they're 7 cars or 6 cars, and they have to go all the way down to the 10-car to the end of the platform, everybody's got to walk that whole distance, which they did not have to walk previously. Moreover, in the winter, and it gets pretty rugged there along the Hudson with the wind blowing, people don't want to go all the way down there and stand there and wait for the train. They want to stay further back, and many of them go in the heated shelter. And so this is causing a lot of problems for
Very
these
easily
folks.
do that and not be in the first car. No one needs to be in the first car. It's actually better when people are more spread out on the platform. So just because everyone wants to be in those first cars because they want to be closer, it's actually not good for us operationally. And if you're saying that it's going to cause people to be more spread out to the consist, it's actually probably a good thing.
Well, you know what I've always said, whenever people complain they need to add a car to the consist and then the train is still crowded and they say, well, they added it to the first car all the time and they didn't add it to the back of the train that many times. But seriously, I don't know why it wouldn't work to have markers along the platforms like in the subway. I thought we did have them on Metro North. I've seen them in a lot of places showing where the head end of the train should stop. If it's a 6-car train, if it's 8-car train, 10-car train, or a locomotive haul train, there would all be different locations, but to minimize it so the train is centered on the main exit or entrance from the platform. I never heard of a case where a train stopped where there was no platform. I know there was one way back on the New Haven, a train stopped at Bridgeport, and it was over the river on the bridge, and the door opened, and that was when they had bar cars, and the bar car tender was getting off there with his cart of beverages, and he got off, and he ended up in the river. And that was a claim. That's how I know about it. But I never heard of anything happening where trains are not properly platforming. I don't know why this is such a big problem, why it can't be resolved by reinforcing with the crews. You have the walkers in the right places, and that's where the head end of the train should stop.
But right now, the marker is going to be where the end of the platform is. That's where the train's going to stop.
Right.
Especially that we're following the industry standard. We're following the standard that is not something that was reached lightly. It was a safety and an operating decision that I respect the opinions of the safety and operating professionals. We have some of the best in the world, and definitely some of the best in the country and the best in the region. So I don't think that we reach any decision lightly. I'm not going to be one who's second guessing a safety professional. Walter, if you want to be, I'm happy to pass along an email if you want to write it. But besides that, I think that when we reach an operations and safety determination, I'm not going to be the one second guessing that.
Okay.
And on the long railroad, they have to mind the gap or watch the gap sign so that you know where the trains are going to platform. And that's pretty standard at every station. Is that at every station on Metro North platforms?
Don't know. I have to.
I don't know if it's every station. They're in place. They often don't align. To the point of the conductors that have discretion, they often do not align.
It'd be interesting to see if that also.
I would say they used to not align more than they would align because people did not actually they had a lot of discretion. And I would say that from when I was commuting from New Rochelle, I would always try and.
Yes.
The same conductor would typically stop in the same spot, but different conductors would stop in very different spots.
So when I was talking earlier about this, I had my IRT mind on because I spent more time working over there, and the trains are all the same size on the IRT. You were a B division conductor, so you never saw that, Jess.
Yeah. I'm doing the E card, so yeah. Thank you, had a question?
I was gonna ask, how is the system doing on equipment availability? I know there's still, a lot
We're
of substitute.
still recovering. We're getting back to availability, but we definitely took a major hit. Sure. And snow then.
What do you expect for this weekend's potential temperature weather event, which is either less than 1 or more than 5? Is it too far out to tell?
We don't have a good enough forecast to tell. Honestly, we handle 1 to 5 inches very easily within the system. We handle 72 hours in the 20s very easily in the system. We start to see more issues when you're dealing with it in the feet, or the feet number of days.
Yeah.
When you're in the 1 to 5 days or the 1 to 5 inches, you're not really having a problem. When you're in the 12 plus days and the 12 plus inches, then we start to worry.
Endless winter. I'm going to ask, when I was in Albany last weekend, there was a lot of chatter, lamenting the disruption to the Metro North system service to Albany, which now we've seen has at least 2 heads to that monster. Do you have any idea whether there's a resurrection to the potential service of Metro North to Albany, or is that dead?
We're still doing, at the moment, it's dead, but things have lots and lots of lives. I don't think anything's ever dead. It's when is it coming? I mean,
Yeah.
That's so far beyond our ability to decide.
Yeah.
So I think there are people still talking about it. I think that
They're still talking. And
there's
there are a lot of them are in Albany.
an appetite and a discussion there, and we'll see. But that will basically be an Albany thing, not an us thing.
Someone had asked earlier about picking job picks. How often does Metro North have picks for their conductors and motorman positions?
I don't know off the top of my head what fitting.
And that arose because of New Jersey Transit and their 48-hour.
Self availability.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I think we have a better relationship with our unions in general than much more able to be nimble.
Yeah.
Just trying to also just get an idea, because I know in transit there's 3 picks a year, so I wasn't sure if Metro.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else you'd like to update us on the progress of Park Avenue, any of the other?
We're excited for construction season to start and finish the viaduct this year.
Yeah.
Ahead of schedule and under budget.
Awesome.
Knock on wood, we'll once again be without any delays to any trains.
Yeah.
We're excited to see the entirety of Midtown be rebuilt yet again. It can the rebuilding of the entirety of Midtown will continue, because people don't realize that everything from 57th Street to 42nd Street on Park Avenue and many of the side streets is a bridge, and that bridge is now being replaced, and we're very excited to see that. We've got a lot of very exciting projects coming down the pipe in this capital plan. We've got a lot of station replacements coming, especially up and down the Harlem line, where we have stations that are in dire need of replacement and platforms that we're very excited to see coming anew. Yeah, we're doing our best to keep everyone on time.
Awesome. Now we just need Mother Nature to cooperate.
That would always be helpful, but we're Despite the inclement weather and despite some modifications that we've had to make to the schedule just based on availability, we've still been able to operate relatively on time across the board, above 98%.
Anything else, Randy?
You know, that's fine. I appreciate you giving us your time and explaining everything to everyone. And let's hope it continues to works out better. All right. I guess the next item would be new business. Is there any?
Mr.
Thank
Exon
you.
put his
Unless you have anything to impart on why there's responses on on Twitter.
That would be a
We'll ask,
focus group
yeah, we'll ask that
question.
question. Thank you.
Maybe the side question is, are there any potentially rider impacting changes that are coming that maybe you want to communicate in advance rather than like,
We can let the writers know.
you know, we've decided to let the back of the trains be the platform.
Well,
Okay. Just
Good question. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
for coming.
Okay.
All right.
Mr. Exon, his questions in the chat. I think.
There's a question in the chat.
No, for us. Yeah, you're good.
Thank you.
You're good.
The first question is, I think the One City, One Fare Act, that has not gone into effect yet. Hopefully someday it will. So you currently cannot transfer between the railroads and New York City Transit on one fare at least, but hopefully someday. We don't know exactly when. And the second question is about a bus should run between Shea and Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, that would be great. And I know that's something you've long advocated for between your borough and my borough. And we're going to continue to advocate for it.
Yes.
New business?
Anything else?
New
New business?
New business, old business?
Yeah, as I was raised, I think it's more of a PCAC broader issue, but the OmniCard senior discount cards is a.
Oh,
is a
yes.
concern.
I forgot to ask Andy. I actually forwarded that to him, but we need to ask.
It's not really a
him
Metro
about-
North problem.
So that sounds a little, I think that if you
Yeah.
can go to any customer service place to get your senior card, since I do
Do they
not
have
have
any in
college.
Westchester? To be honest?
I don't, it's only in the customer service centers are only in the MTA network. There are some in the Bronx. I know that for sure.
But they're not mailing them any
That was the guidance from
Yeah.
Houston Street.
That,
to the person.
I saw them getting, like I've seen them in the
'Cause-
mail in my building, a couple of. elderly
Well,
people
apparently,
have
but
got it.
apparently they stopped
Yeah.
mailing because so many were stolen.
Oh,
so it
So there was
seems like there's,
that was the feedback, was that there was a lot of the discount cards that had been mailed were stolen, and so they stopped mailing.
it seems like there are quite a few unintended consequences of not having pictures and names on the Omni cards. Like that was a whole issue with people's senior discounts on the railroads not being accepted by some conductors because they said, oh, how do we know that's actually yours? Essentially, not sure what the costs are on adding that, but there has not been an official policy that has come down to our knowledge that says they're no longer mailing it. But if they're doing that secretly, then
More
we,
into that.
yeah.
Because somebody in my building keeps losing his card, and that's the only way he gets it.
All right. So if there's nothing else, no old business and new business.
I was just gonna say that the other old business wise is you sent out the letter from
Yes.
the two committees
yes,
to the MK board.
yes.
Just the MTA leadership,
The
yes, we
leadership,
did send it out.
Yeah, leadership, yes.
We've heard nothing.
Yes.
So I'll just say PCAC is on the 12th of March. I hope to see you all in person there. And
Yes.
There's
Well, we're waiting to hear back from, Jamie is not available that day, Randy, but somebody from construction and design hopefully will be able to join us.
We're still working on getting our presenter. Yes,
okay, great.
and it'll be on the 16th floor because we have been bumped from the 20th floor.
All right. Well, at least it's a meeting space. All right. So then I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
And
Thank
then A second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for all of you taking time out of your busy days to be here. I'll see you, and hopefully see you all next month.
Feel better,
I will feel
Walter.
better.
Yes, better, Walter,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.